Have you ever wished for better than FD returns but without entering the roller coaster world of equities? If yes, you are not alone. India's investment culture is changing fast. And while equity markets continue to dominate headlines, not every investor is comfortable with volatility. So, where do investors go when they want stable returns with a little extra yield? Enter high yield corporate bonds, and more importantly, platforms like INR bonds, which claim to make bond investing simple, transparent, and accessible. But the real question is INR bonds truly worth your time and money, or are there hidden risks behind those attractive yields? Let us break it down in detail in this video. Hi there, welcome back to holisticinvestment.in, where we help individual investors like you to make the right financial and investment decision to reach your financial goals in a more faster and smarter way. Now, before analyzing this online bond platform, let us first understand the bond market. So, think of bonds as large scale loans. You lend money to a company or to the government, they pay you interest regularly and return your principal at maturity. Simple on paper, right? Then, why do so few retail investors actively explore the bond market? Because for decades in India, bonds have been complex, filled with jargon, opaque with limited publicly available information, institution dominated, leaving little space for small investors. But things are changing. Platforms like INR bonds and other digital marketplaces promise to make bonds as easy to buy as mutual funds, transparent, accessible, and available in smaller ticket sizes. The question is, does the accessibility solve the underlying risk? Let's go deeper. What exactly is a bond? A bond is nothing but a loan you give to the issuer, which can be a company, NBFC, bank, or government. In return, you got fixed interest, which is a coupon, and principal repayment at maturity. But before you hit invest, pause and ask yourself, what if the issuer defaults? Are you fully aware of their debt levels, cash flows, and repayment history? Can you exit anytime? Because bond liquidity varies widely. Some can be sold easily, some barely trade. And how do interest rates affect bond prices? When rates rise, existing bonds fall in value. Many retail investors overlook this. Am I evaluating credit risk or just chasing a high yield? A tempting return often hides a bigger risk. Online platforms list hundreds of bonds, but listing is not equal to safety. Your due diligence matters more than ever. So, government securities G-Secs are considered the safest fixed income instrument in India because they are backed by the government of India itself. They offer stability, but that doesn't automatically make them suitable for all investors. So, important questions to reflect on: will G-Secs beat inflation consistently? Historically, they stabilize portfolios, not maximize returns. And what about liquidity? While safe, some long dated issues don't trade actively. Is RBI retail direct beginner friendly? It's transparent and direct but not always intuitive for first time users. Are the returns worth the long maturities? Many G-Secs run for 10, 20, even 40 years. You can buy them through RBI retail direct or platforms like INR bonds, but safety and suitability are not the same. Corporate bond investing accelerated after SEBI lowered the minimum investment to 10,000 rupees, opening the gates for retail investors. But higher yield almost always means higher risk. So, questions you must ask are: does AAA truly mean safe? It means strong credit worthiness, not zero risk. Is the extra yield compensating you for hidden trouble? High coupons often indicate weaker financial strength. Is the issuer's cash flow reliable? Short term profit is not the same as long term solvency. So, digital platforms make buying corporate bonds easy, they do not make them safe. Your analysis here matters more than the user interface. So, credit ratings give you a quick snapshot of an issuer's repayment capability, but here's the reality. Have agents missed red flags before? Yes. Can a triple A rated bond fall to D in a sudden event? Yes. Can downgrades trigger panic selling and price crashes? Absolutely. A credit rating is a starting point, not a guarantee. Smart investors use ratings but never depend solely on them. So there are some agencies in India which assess the credit worthiness of issuers like CRISIL, ICRA, CARE ratings, Brickwork ratings, India ratings and research. But remember, issuers pay for ratings. So this issuer pays model can create conflicts of interest. That's why cross verifying across agencies and reading the rationale behind the rating is essential. And not all bonds carry the same level of safety. Understanding the hierarchy is crucial. So if you take a look at senior secured bonds, they are backed by collateral assets, which means highest safety within corporate bonds. And senior unsecured bonds have no collateral, meaning higher risk if things go wrong. And subordinated bonds are repaid after senior bondholders. So higher yield meaning higher risk. And perpetual bonds have no maturity date. So they are sensitive to interest rate changes and highest risk among listed bonds. If a company collapses, the type of bond determines who gets repaid first and who potentially gets nothing. So now as we have a basic idea about the bond market and the types of bonds in it, let us now analyze the online bond platform INR Bonds now. So by taking a quick overview of the platform. So INR Bonds is designed to simplify access to listed corporate bonds for retail investors. They offer curated instruments, market insights and a clean interface. And yes, they operate under SEBI's OBPP online bond platform provider framework. And here's where many investors get confused. OBPP protects you from platform level fraud, not issuer level default. So while the platform is transparent and regulated, can your chosen bond still default? Absolutely, because the risk lies with the issuer, not the app. So before relying on curated list, ask yourself, are the disclosures detailed enough for a real risk assessment? Do the filters capture the true risk of each issuer? Are higher yield bonds being shown more prominently? Should you trust platform curation blindly or supplement it with your own research? The honest answer, your due diligence is still your primary safety net. INR bonds categorize products into three buckets. Bonds are currently only 4 corporate listings as of December 2025, and GSECs include government bonds, SDLs, T-bills, but none listed right now. An IPO section monitors new issues, also empty currently in the bond platform. So while they market a broad universe like PSU bonds, GSECs, tax-free bonds, INVITS, the actual offerings are quite limited at times. So most listed bonds are senior secured bonds backed by collateral. But wait, that raises some important questions. Who checks the real value of this collateral? Is it verified independently? What if the collateral loses value or is difficult to sell? Is the platform's curation backed by neutral audits? A secured bond reduces risk, but it does not eliminate it. And without third-party verification, investors should stay cautious. So most bonds on INR bonds pay interest monthly, quarterly or semi-annually. Nice for regular income but not always ideal for long-term wealth building. Why? Are you sacrificing compounding by taking regular payouts? Will you reinvest this money manually? Could a debt mutual fund be more tax efficient? And if the issuer faces cash flow stress, can payouts get delayed? Yes, they can. So ask yourself, am I investing for cash flow or for growth? Because payout heavy bonds are designed for income seekers, not compounding focused investors. The minimum investment is just 10,000 rupees, which means super accessible, but accessibility sometimes leads to impulsiveness. So check, does this bond fit into your long-term strategy? What percentage of your portfolio goes into high yield debt? Should you put emergency funds or essential savings here? The answer, absolutely not. Small ticket investing is great, but only when aligned with asset allocation, not emotion. So INR bonds offers web plus mobile access, filters by yield and maturity, real-time market data, smooth user-friendly interface. But here's the hidden reality. A great interface cannot reveal hidden credit risk, governance issues, sector vulnerabilities, concentration risk. Convenience is helpful, but it should supplement, not replace deeper analysis. Because a clean dashboard doesn't mean the issuer is financially clean. So, who should consider using INR bonds? High yield bonds are not universal, they suit a very specific kind of investor. So, can you handle the possibility of losing part or all of your capital, meaning you have high risk tolerance? And recovering principal is easier if you stay still maturity. So, which means you need to have a longer investment horizon to invest in a high yield bond. And these yields beat G-Secs or investment grade bonds. So, you need to aim for higher income. And if there is a need for diversification, like high yield bonds add a different risk return profile to your portfolio. This might be ideal, and you must be either research driven or be guided by an advisor. So, before investing, ask yourself, am I mentally prepared for a default? Can I live with limited liquidity? What if the platform changes ownership or shuts down? Does this align with my broader financial plan? INR bonds is ideal only for those who have secured essential goals and are ready for calculated credit risk. So, now let's take a look at the tax implications of this. So let's keep this in simple terms. So if you're holding listed bonds under 12 months, you will be taxed as per income tax slab rate. If you're holding them for more than 12 months, you will be taxed 12.5% LTCG with no indexation. And if you're holding unlisted bonds for under 24 months, you will be taxed as per the income tax slab rate. But if you're holding them for more than 24 months, you will be taxed 12.5% LTCG with no indexation. So here the interest income will be taxed as 10% TDS on listed and unlisted bonds. So if you want to take a comparison with FD, it has 10% TDS on interest. TDS applies only beyond 50,000 and it will be 1 lakh for senior citizens, and the eligible investors can submit form 15G or 15H to avoid TDS. So taxation on bonds is straightforward, but remember, tax efficiency does not offset credit risk. So now comes the main question. Equity versus bonds, which is truly safer? Many investors assume that bonds are automatically safer than equities, but safety depends on what kind of risk you're talking about. Equity markets are volatile, yes, they go through crashes, corrections, and unpredictable phases. But historically, equity markets recover, sometimes even stronger than before. Volatility may test your patience, but it rarely results in a total wipeout unless you choose extremely poor quality stocks. Corporate bonds operate differently. A single default can cause permanent, irreversible loss of capital. There is no bounce back if the issuer cannot repay. We have already seen what happens when strong looking names collapse. DHFL was once trusted but later turned into a massive default. ILNFS was an AAA rated giant which suddenly collapsed. Yes Bank 81 bonds returned down to zero overnight, and multiple NBFCs that appeared fine until liquidity pressure exposed deeper cracks. So while equity brings volatility, corporate bonds carry the risk of finality. Stability in price does not equal safety in outcome. So in 2020, the Indian debt market witnessed one of its most dramatic events. Franklin Templeton owned up 6 debt schemes, freezing 25,000 rupee crore. So investors couldn't redeem their money. NAV stopped updating, redemptions were locked until asset recovery began. So, this wasn't a small fund house or an obscure scheme. This was a reputed AMC with a long track record. If such an institution can run into liquidity and credit issues, what about lesser known companies offering 9%, 10%, 11%, or even 12% coupon rates on private platforms? Bonds don't offer daily NAVs like mutual funds. You cannot always see the stress building up, and once liquidity dries up in the secondary market, you're effectively stuck. Chasing higher yield without understanding the underlying risk can cost far more than it pays. And why credit risk is so difficult to detect? Credit risk is not loud, it doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly through weakening cash flows, rising debt, promoter issues, or sector wide stress. Everything looks normal until it doesn't. When a credit event hits, it tends to hit all at once. Sudden rating downgrades, collapse in secondary market liquidity, questions around collateral valuation, delays in interest or principal payments, steep drop in bond price, sometimes with no buyers. And remember, these are not substitutes for bank FDs. These are high yield, high risk instruments where the possibility of default is very real, even if the coupon looks attractive. A quick summary of what really matters here. So, a high yield is equal to high risk always, and you should evaluate the issuer first, not the platform's interface. And liquidity is unpredictable. You may not be able to exit, and ratings can and do fail, so don't depend on them blindly. And never invest emergency funds or goal based money in high yield corporate bonds, and diversify across issuers, sectors, and maturities to reduce concentration risk. Good return is useful, but recoverable return is essential. And if you want fixed income exposure without taking concentrated issuer risk, you can consider other safer, more diversified options like credit risk mutual funds, which spread risk across many issuers, which has daily NAV updates, professional credit analysis, and better liquidity than individual high yield bonds. Another option is RBI Retail Direct Government Securities. Because they are backed by the government of India, it has zero default risk, transparent pricing, suitable for long term stability, and predictable income. These options may offer lower yield, but they offer higher visibility and much lower uncertainty. So, what is the final verdict then? Is investing in the INR bonds worth it or not? So, platforms like INR bonds make bond investing accessible, but accessibility doesn't reduce complexity. A certified financial planner can help you match the right bond type to your financial goals, analyze issuer stability and repayment history, understand tax treatment and post tax returns, avoid unsuitable credit risk, maintain an allocation that protects your wealth, and build a portfolio that balances growth, income, and safety. Because smart investing isn't about chasing returns today, it's about preserving your future for tomorrow.
If you want to read more about this policy, then you can definitely check out the blog post we have posted on our website through the link in the description. And if you want to gain more professional guidance through a professional financial planner, you can choose to book a one-on-one complimentary consultation with one of our professional financial planner through the link in the description. Also, if you want to gain more investment and financial insights through the leading experts in the finance industry, we also conduct regularly free live webinars through which you can register and gain these insights. The link is in the description. Also, if you like this video, definitely hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can come up with more such financially beneficial content for you. Thank you for watching.